Okay, got that? 1,000 sheets of paper, 4 inches tall. How high would the stack be if it were 1 trillion sheets? Anybody want to take a shot at it? Remember, I was a science major. I did the math.
Are you talking $1 bills?
No, well,
$1
no, we're just talking sheets of paper. But, you know, if you just talk 4 inches equals 1,000 sheets of paper, how tall would the stack be to represent 1 trillion sheets of paper?
I Googled it a couple times, and I want to say it was like 67,000 miles.
Very, very close. 63,000 miles.
63.
Wow.
63. You get a gold star. No one's ever got that right. 67,000 is close enough to 63. We will give you the gold star. And remember, that's 1 trillion sheets. Our debt is 15 today. It's $15.3 trillion. It's unimaginable. I was at a meeting of the National Association of State Treasurers not long ago. We had a luncheon speaker. The luncheon speaker began by saying, and most of the state treasurers are there, and all kinds of finance professionals are in the room, a couple hundred people. And he began the speech by saying, how many of you are familiar with the works of Jorge Santayana? That was our reaction too, you know. So how many of you have ever heard the expression, those who fail to learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them? That was Jorge Santayana. He was a philosopher and a historian. And the economist who was speaking said, I give you that this morning to make you aware of this, that no nation in the history of the world has ever done what we are doing without suffering the effects of hyperinflation, defined as an inflation rate of greater than 100% per year. We like to think it cannot happen in this country because we're different. We are that exceptional nation. But the fact is, and this is pure, simple mathematics, there are but 2 ways that governments have to pay off their debt. They either pay it off by raising taxes on their people, and I think most of you would agree, we've done about all that we can do. We are slowing our economic growth. Even President Obama emphasized that. Even I said this. Even President Obama has said, in an economic recession, it's a horrible time to raise taxes. Doesn't always live by those words, but he did say it. We cannot raise the kind of taxes we need to pay off the debt. Indeed, if we confiscated the wealth of every American who earns more than $100,000 a year, in other words, taxed at 100%, everything that every person who owns more than or earns more than $100,000 a year, if we just took it and we changed nothing else, it means for about 70 days each year we would have a balanced budget, and the rest of the year we'd be back creating a deficit of about $4 billion each day. We can't raise taxes to do it. The other way governments have to pay off debt is to devalue the currency. We used to say print money, but frankly anymore it's hitting the button, digitizing it into existence. Here's the product of that latter move. Oops, not a business card. This looks like funny money, right? Looks like monopoly money. This is real. This is real currency. This is a note on the Federal Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe issued just in 2008. This isn't ancient history.
$1 trillion.
How much?
$1 trillion.
Can you read it?
I'm like
100 trillion?
$100 trillion. That's what this note is. It's worth about $5.60. In Zimbabwe, they actually passed a law that said the legitimate currency that could be used in Zimbabwe was the US dollar, because they destroyed their own currency. If we get to this point, whose currency are we going to use?
gold. Gold.
I bring these things up, as I said, because the overwhelming thing that has caused me to decide to run for United States Senate are the issues of economics that drive our country. With 31 years in the business world, more than most people who run for an office like this, I get what's happening to business. As someone who's worked the last 5 years in